I actually never had a Ducati race bike with straight pipes, and this is America, and Harley Davidson riders have totally paved the way for us to be way too loud and obnoxious. What's up, guys? It is day one and I snuck in on a Sunday to the shop to get a head start on Peyton for Casey and Peyton's bike build-off. There's my $700 Ducati after a few hours of work. Obviously, you can see what I've done is I've gone with the old school early 70s Ducati half fairing in the front. It's going to have the round 7-inch headlight. On the back, I've got the Imola seat, which was typical to all those Ducati 750 sports and super sports throughout the 1970s. It's really neat. If you notice on the tank here, the original Ducati tank followed the trellis frame upward at that angle. And the problem is most people, when they do a build like this, they just leave the tank on and don't modify it or build another tank or modify the frame. And it doesn't look right. You can tell the bike was never designed for that. So what I'm gonna do is, this cardboard actually represents a piece of sheet metal I'm gonna cut out, and I'm gonna roll the bottom edge, and I'm gonna form that. And what it's gonna do is, effectively the tank and the shape of it's gonna come all the way down, so you have a nice line at the bottom of all the bodywork to the seat, nice continuity of its design. And for this one, that's a steel gas tank, which is really nice, because if you're running modern gas with ethanol and such in it, it won't eat your old fiberglass tanks from like the 70s. You don't have to worry about epoxy coating it. If it's in good condition, it hasn't corroded. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to use panel bonding adhesive, which is used in a lot of modern cars for structural and people use in restorations. But by doing that, I'll be able to bond the aluminum in really nice, really strong, not worry about screwing up the integrity of the tank or a mess up on a weld where you might get a pinhole or it just seeps a little and screws up the paint from the inside out. That'd be a drag. So we're going to bond that metal right on there, and then it'll be able to smooth it out really well there. But really excited, really delighted, because for instance, the framework up in the front that held the original headlight and gauges and all works beautifully with this fairing. So I'll be able to make new mounts and everything coming off of it, be able to modify it to, of course, have a round headlight, and it may move a little bit there. Of course, this bike was laid down, so I've got to replace the clip-ons and the throttles, and the levers got broken off. And when I strip it down to paint everything, and that includes taking it down to the bare frame, I'm going to have to gusset the front, because on these 90s Ducati Super Sports, the frame's cracked right up there by the head tube, so I got to take care of that. But I want to show you guys a little bit extra. So today, first of all, I needed to fit the bodywork, and to do that, I had to remove the seat, I had to remove the fairing, I had to remove the front fairing, remove all that sort of thing. And first, I kind of got to look at the seat. And I had to think ahead about what I was going to cut off to make that work. So here is the original bit of the frame. I'm trying to remember how it goes. It goes like this. Pardon me. And you can see in the picture here, in cutting it off, why I did it that way. Because I looked at where the seat would be. And if you can see here, these lines is where I knew the seat would terminate. And typically on the sports and super sports, the original from the 70s, the frame would come up and hit there. So to have the strongest box section you could, it's triangulated here. This is the point that mounts to the motor. And coming back here, I decided to cut it off right here at this node, and then I can run a tube just straight up here. And it's going to be a very, very strong box section. And then what I'm going to do, it'd be nice if I just had a piece of metal bent, but who has time and money for that, right? So I'm going to cut off these things, grind it smooth, knock off some of these tabs and everything like this, and I'll be able to shorten this. And actually, this original frame rail, I'll be able to cut and make work and weld on to be as supportive and follow that seat the whole way around, just like they were back in the early 70s. So going to take a little bit of work. It'd be nice if I had something like this handy where I could bend it or some bent metal, but I don't. So I've got to get scrappy with a welder and a grinder. And it's also not super structurally integral back there. It's not really taking any weight other than holding your turn signals and giving your fiberglass seat more support in your license plate. So not much of a worry there. And there's some nice bosses and things on here that I can utilize when I'm mounting the seat with little brackets and tabs. So that's really nice. The other thing, it pays to be an intelligent hoarder. I don't mean like giant, disgusting, filthy houses. I mean just saving good parts. So back in the day, had my Triumph Thruxton, my wife and I enjoyed driving around, and somebody put on aftermarket exhaust, and I kept the stock ones. So had these really good looking megaphones, and with a little bit of modification, I could cut them and open them up and work. Problem is I started cutting them open, and the factory Triumph did a really good job of making something that looked vintage that would look great on this Ducati as well for that time period, but it's a total muffler. There's all kinds of like pea shooter straws and traps and things inside, if you can see in there, and it just, It's just not worth it. And, but it would have looked pretty, you know, going on just like that. Really nice, really slick, kind of like the early 70s. But I gave up on this because it's no good. So what I'll probably do if I want to run a megaphone that is somewhat muffled, I'd just get one from Dime City or somewhere off of eBay and then modify it to attach. But what I did today that I was really proud of, I saved, let's see if I've got any more around here, but from back in the day in like 2010, I raced a Honda 350cc four-cylinder Grand Prix bike. And my street bike version I built of it had all 4 wide open racing megaphones like they did back in the 60s and 70s. And I got an extra set from England. It took me a long time to get them. They cost a little bit of money. They were handmade. And for the last 9 years, I've kept a set of 4 megaphones. Because on my race bike, I actually just kept the 4 into 1 exhaust because it made a little more power. And I never got around to doing that. But so I had them, right? And which would be great if I build another Honda, but I don't know when I'm ever going to do that. And I got this great Ducati. So I took my megaphones and I cut them off right here. And what I did was the original mufflers on this Ducati, nobody likes them. They're big cans and they're hurt from when the bike got laid down anyway. So what I did is I cut off the little nub at the end that slides into the stock exhaust. And then I took the megaphones, the handmade ones from England for old Grand Prix racing bikes, and I cut it at the right length and the right angle and simply welded it. They're actually dissimilar metals. It was a stainless coupler and this is mild steel. It'll be fine, engineering geeks, it'll work just fine. And I had them. So anyway, welded them on, looks really great. Really excited about that because it gives the perfect 60s, 70s racing bike look. That's the way all the European road racing bikes were. So I'm really pleased with that. I hope you guys like that too. Check it out. And obviously I'm going to weld on some supports. And if you think ahead, there's this great little tab here on the frame that's already threaded. And I'll be able to weld my supports going right to that node on the frame. So that's going to look like $1,000,000. And if I want to switch over to any exhaust, whether it's a Termergione or a stock Ducati muffler or something that I make for it, it's simply as easy as removing 1 bolt, sliding them off, and putting on new ones. So I thought I'd have a little fun. I actually never had a Ducati race bike with straight pipes. And this is America, and Harley Davidson riders have totally paved the way for us to be way too loud and obnoxious. So I guess thanks, Harley people. So anyway, the other thing that I've really been thinking of, I don't know if I want to go one way or the other with this, is, so back in the 70s, the motorcycles had 2 shocks, twin shocks on the back, not a mono shock like this. And, you know, this looks really good. This is the way this frame was designed. So it's going to perform well. You know, it's got that cool open air, real neat architectural look. However, I also saved a couple of really nice shocks like this. And if you notice, the swing arm on this particular Ducati is not the aluminum one, that's the steel, because this is a slightly lower end model, which works perfect for this. And what I could do is I could knock off this top part of the swing arm, just ditch the shock on the inside. This carbon fiber fender I could move in there. That'd be great. It's like a shorty, it'd fit great. And I can weld tabs onto the swing arm here, and I can weld tabs on the frame. So what I could do is I could backdate it and put old school shocks on this, work great, look pretty good. But give me your opinion, guys, because so we got 2 looks. We got this one that's a little more modern, a little more architectural, works really good. Less work and money for me. But, you know, to go for that really cool 70s race bike look, I could easily fit those on right there. So do you like it better this way without all that malarkey, or do you like it better this way? I don't know. I'm a little, I hate to say it, but when I saw it in the pictures, I'm a little more partial to letting the suspension be slightly modern with all the bodywork and everything being really cool, old school, and I know it'll work well. With regard to painting, the 3 choices are Ducati yellow, maybe with some black and whatnot, Ducati red, or the really cool Metal Flake silver with the tealy blue frame. I used to have a 2006 Paul Smart. I adored that motorcycle, adored it. But when I started Genius Garage, I mean, that took just like everything of my life and time and money away. So I sold the motorcycle. That sort of thing happens when you start something, and I really miss it. So I thought about doing that, but it's not a Paul Smart, it's not an old race bike. So I don't know, I'm really kind of feeling red. You know, red bodywork, and actually, like the MH900E, the Mike Halewood from the early 2000s, had one of those too, sold it because of Genius Garage. The frame was painted red, the trellis part of the frame. So right now I'm kind of toying with doing red bodywork with a red frame, and then leaving the swing arm and the engine effectively the way it is. I was thinking about going gold, real goldy bronze on the wheels, Gonna do a real warm biscuit tan kind of suede seat with natural rubber grips like back in the day. And then with the exhaust, you know, black is pretty typical for race bikes. Silver would be neat, you know, or even white, like the spaghetti exhaust on 1960s Ferrari Grand Prix cars. So really thinking about that, guys, but love your opinion. Throw it out there. And also give me your opinion on what you think I should do with the suspension. Should I go with the old school 70 shocks on the side or leave this kind of clean look? But really excited about it. Save some other things here. Got some great looking turn signals. They're shorter, kind of like the 70s. Thought I was going to put those on right back here. Look pretty good. And I was thinking about getting those cool round turn signals. They're not like this, but they effectively like little round amber deals that go on the end of your clip-ons, your bars. That look really good. I also saved some these old school looking idiot lights for the dash. That'd look nice. Get rid of that 90s plastic of the Ducati. You can see those there. I was thinking about doing that. And I had some clip-ons in here, but they don't fit. It's for another bike. And the other fun idea I've got is I've got these, you know, these foot pegs that I think would fit, look a little racier. But I had a neat idea, and, because my first ever motorcycle was a 1965 Ducati 350 single. Cafe'd out a little bit. Really loved the thing. It never worked properly, and it wasn't that fast, but I loved the damn thing. And Ducati singles in the 60s had the coolest foot pegs ever. They're kind of big, but in big raised embossed letters said Ducati. So I was actually thinking about getting a remake of those big silly rubber things from the 60s and modifying the pegs to have those. I just thought it'd be kind of a cool little artistic touch. But that's it, guys. Peyton, ball's in your court, dude. I'm way ahead of you on a Sunday. Anyway, guys, vote for this. And Peyton will be up next with the Yamaha 650 and his crazy brat build. I hope you guys like, comment, and subscribe. I'll see you next time.